Hello guys, in today's video I'm going to show you a software that you can use to design your own RC airplanes, especially the wing structure, which is the more or less the most complicated part of an RC aircraft. So in the previous video I designed this wing and it's really cool. As you can see, it's I just call it a Joy Wing balsa because it's made out of balsa wood, and I cut it with laser cutter and everything. It's really cool. So if you want to check that video, just click on there or in the description below to see that video. And in today's video, I'm going to show you the software that I use, which is called Wing Helper. So I'm just gonna open it here. And Wing Helper is the software. It's paid, so it costs around $80 or something like that. And it's but it's really cool because it would help you design the structures, and it will help you save a lot of time when designing a structure, the wing. So I'm going to show you first, here's the file, here's the project file for the wing that I designed. And as you can see here is, the software is still under development, but it's already functional for most of the things that we will use. So as you can see here, here's the wing. This is the design that I did for this actual wing. The only thing that you cannot see there is the fuselage, or I don't know how to call it, but I'll call it a pseudo fuselage because it's kind of part of the wing, but it's not. It's, well, it functions. I think it creates lift because it has the wing profile and everything. But inside there is space for, putting the battery and all the electronics. And the rest of the wings structure is what you see there. So of course, to get to this stage of the process, there is a lot of work involved. So here I have only one panel, and this is the main panel. And when we're working on it, you're gonna see only one half of the wing. So we can edit it here. And here we can see, the left wing, the other side of the wing will be just a symmetry, just a copy of it. And here we can see all the parameters that we have to change to be able to achieve this state. But I'm going to show you from the beginning. I'm going to create a model from the beginning, and I'll show you all the other things that you can do with it. As I showed in the beginning of the video, there is a promo code that you can apply to get 30% off for the first 5 people who buy Wing Helper with this code. So that's how you apply it, and let's continue with the video. Okay, so first thing, we're going to create a new panel. So we click Add, and you will see this window here. And most of the time you are going to be working on this window. So wing panel definition it's called. So here we're going to put the size of it, or the length, so how long the wing is. And remember, it's just one panel. So this is going to be copied like a mirror image on the other side. So next thing is the root core. So let's put here real quick 150 to say something, and then the tip of the wing is going to be the same. So I'm going to do a dihedral. A very simple wing, a 2-channel glider or something like that. And 150 and 150, the length 362, that's okay for now. And I'm gonna call it inner panel. And then I'm going to leave the sweep at 0, but for the wing, for the other design you saw, it was something really like 100 or something like that, So you can see there in real time the changes, and that's really cool of this software. Just you can see the changes in the 3D model, but we don't need sweep. And then we can modify the root twist or tip twist if you want to do something more advanced by twisting, with degrees. So let's make a washout in the tip of the wing. So you can see there's a difference between the root, it's at 0 degrees, and in the wingtip is at -12 degrees. So that's something used in real life, but not that much. But for our glider, we're gonna leave it nice and simple, 0 degrees. The dihedral is the 2 halves of the wings combined. So if you write here 2 degrees, it will actually be 1 degree for this wing and 1 degree for the other. So I'm gonna use 3 degrees for each wing, so it's gonna be 6 degrees. And if you want to see it here, you have to check this box here to be visible. And there we go. So we have 3 degrees for this wing here, 6 degrees in total. And we can also, you know, uncheck some of these boxes. For example, if I uncheck the ribs box, of course, we don't see all the ribs, but we're working on it, so we have to see it. Okay, so we have dihedral, everything. So let's go ahead and select the airfoil. So we have a huge selection of airfoils here. So we have the, you know, the most common one is the Clark Y airfoil. We're using the same throughout the wing. And if you happen to select a different one for the tip of the wing, you get, you know, that transition, nice transition between the ribs. And that's really cool. So you don't have to design everything from scratch in a, you know, design software, in a, like a CAD software or something like that with plugins or whatever. This software is specialized for this kind of applications. But just to give you an idea of all the different airfoils that we have there, as you can see, you can do this, that. And the same here, so I can select a different airfoil for the root airfoil, and that's fine, that's really good. But I'm gonna select just Clark Y. And if you don't want to have a different airfoil for, you know, from the root to the tip, just click the X here and it will go to the default, same as root. And it's using the Clark Y. So you can also modify the thickness of the airfoil. So if you click here, you know, it's 1.60 more. We have some extra settings here, and this is mostly if you have different thicknesses or different ribs or airfoils. So if you click, you know, align to the bottom, so then all the airfoils will be aligned to the bottom, so it's easier to build on top of the table, or you can align on the top, or don't align them at all. They're gonna stay in the middle or something like that. By the way, if you want to know more specific details about how the software works, I encourage you to see or to watch the documentation video made by the creator of this software, which will teach you everything you need to know. I won't go into details in this video. I'm just going to show you the basic things and how easy it is to build your wing in here. So with that said, I'll leave that link in the description below, and let's continue here. So let's go now and go to ribs. And by the way, if you change something here, for example, if you put here 300, you see that it didn't change here, but you go to the ribs section, then select the number of ribs you want. I'm going to choose 8, and all of them 2 millimeters thickness. So I'm going to use balsa wood of 2 millimeters of thickness and then generate ribs. And it will automatically go or shrink or enlarge to the length you have selected here, you have chosen there. So now we have 8 ribs and 300 millimeters of length there. So that's cool. Now let's say I'm going to change my mind and select 400 millimeters. It didn't change here, so you have to go again and generate ribs. You have to be careful because if you have made some changes here, it will override that. Okay, so that's it, 8 ribs of 2 millimeters each. And now here we have a list of all the ribs that we have, all the airfoils, and you can change the thickness of each individual rib. So if you watch carefully here, we can see each one while I'm selecting them from the list. So we see also the position in millimeters from the center and the thickness and the length of the airfoil. And we have several other options here that I'm not going to mess with them right now. I'm just going to change here some of the ribs thicknesses. In the center, I'm going to make the ribs here a little bit thicker because that makes the structure a little bit stronger in the middle. So 3 millimeters for this one and 3 millimeters for this one, and maybe 3 millimeters for this one as well. So the 3 first airfoils are going to be cut in 3 millimeters. So as you can see, so even if I do 10 millimeters, you'll see the difference there. That's cool. Okay, the next step is to select or put the spars and ailerons cutters and stuff like that. So the spars are very important because they're going to hold the wing together, and they're mostly the strongest part of the wings. I'm going to right click and add spar in front. If you put it behind, well, when you have more, you add behind, and so on, but it doesn't matter. I think you can change it, I'm not sure. But anyway, so let's go and do a basic maybe rectangle. So what I did for that is a rectangular one, and then that's what I like to do. There are many options here. If you want to use like a, you know, carbon fiber tube or something like that, you can do this one and so on. That's easier. But I like to use the classic construction using a rectangle and webbing. And there is another option that is not here, but I think it might be added in the future, which is, you know, using some like a webbing, but in the middle. So let's go ahead and change some of the settings for this. And let's put here 10 millimeters for the, yeah, maybe less. Let's put 8 millimeters. Okay, for the width. And then it's gonna be a 3 millimeter, maybe plywood. And then, yeah, put the webbing maybe behind. Okay, and it's going to be at 30% from the leading edge. So let's a little bit back there. Cool. And now we have, yeah, that's everything I need for now. And you can also select from which rib to which rib you want to apply it. So if I do, you know, from rib, well, that's the webbing, but you can do it from here. Okay, so from the rib 1 to rib, let's say 6, and it will apply it only to rib 6, and the rest are going to have a different thing. So, but we want the thing for everything, the spar for all of those ribs. Let's continue to the next one. That's the leading edge. Now, the leading edge, it depends on what you want. If you select diamond, strip, round, or standard, the standard one is the only one that from this dialog or from this tab, you can choose and see something there happening. But for the rest, they just tell you to do something, some like, you know, some instructions on how to do. For example, if I want to put a round leading edge, well, it tells me to go ahead and create another spar here. So it's a round one, that's okay. And then put here maybe 1% from the leading edge. And it's going to be maybe a 3 millimeter spar or a 3 millimeter carbon fiber tube, so, or bar. So let's put here, the radius is going to be a 1.5 millimeters. Or maybe I can use maybe a larger one. Let's put a 4 millimeters or 5 millimeters, so 2.5 of radius. And that's good. And here we can see that we have to bring it back a little bit. So 1.2, no, 1.5 millimeters, sorry, 1.5% or 1.6%, yeah, 1.6% from the leading edge, yes. Now the Y offset in the beginning and the end, so let's bring it down because it's like going up here for no reason. So let's bring it down here, okay. So 0.5, so let's put 0.5 on both of them, and that's it. So it will make a good leading edge. It's gonna be easy to build. It could be also wood, you know, can be whatever, but it's gonna be a 5 millimeter diameter. Now let's go to the next one, trailing edge. So in here we have several, well, we have two options. We have the depth, so the measurement from here to here. So you can specify that measurement, or you have the height. So the measurement of the, you know, the airfoil, and, you know, matching the measurement of that part of the airfoil, it will create that trailing edge. So I'm going to choose that one because that's also, you know, if I have a wood that it's 5 millimeters thick, I can make the trailing edge easily from there. Then the sheeting, and from that I'm going to use the advanced because this one is going to be replaced soon. So I'm going to use the advanced, right click and add strip in the front. Then it will apply a very basic one really quick, didn't have to do much. and it's going to be applied to all of them. That's good. You can give it a name if you want. So I'm going to put balsa sheet. Okay, and then I'm going to select here all the parameters that I want. So the length of the start to finish, so starts at 0. That's okay, 0, and then I can just leave it there, or I can just go over the spars to cover the whole thing, so it will be a lot stronger. So it's up to you, but I prefer to do it like that. And then that's actually it. That's pretty much that. Now that we are ready with that, we can go to the final stage, which is construction. And in here we can add lightning holes, and that's a really cool thing to do. Although if the balsa wood is really weak or something, it will break easily. So I often alter these numbers a little bit to make the whole thing thicker. And then let's put his here, well, something like that along those lines. But it's not needed for all the ribs, so I'm not gonna do it for now. I did it for the wing, but I'm not gonna do it for this design because we're trying to do everything simple. And also this will add a lot of time for laser cutting this or CNC machining all of these ribs. So if you don't want to have more time to that process, well, just avoid this. But you have two options. You have the standard and triangular, and you can also change that in once you have the exported drawing file. You can draw your own shapes if you want. But this way you can have an idea on how it looks and everything. But yeah, I'll show you once we export this to a CAD drawing file. But for now, I'm gonna leave it like with no holes. You have all the options here, as you can see there. So I think this way is a lot stronger. I'm gonna leave it for now like that, and I'll show you another trick that is really interesting. You can also have these rib comp that will help you with the construction process as shown here, but because this wing is very simple, I don't think we need it. So I'm gonna delete that, and I'm gonna leave it like that, and I'm going again back to the ribs, and you can select each of them. And if you don't want to have these cutouts or these holes for the rest of the ribs, we can do this. You can right click and select exempt from lightning holes. So you click that and you get rid of that. You see that? That's really cool. For each of the airfoils that you don't want that. You see? So I'm gonna do it for all of them except for the two first ones here. And that's cool. So we're already here actually. So now we can click OK, and we have our halves in here. And one thing I forgot is, some kind of reinforcement in the middle here, which is going to be out of tubing, metallic tubing, or carbon fiber tubing, whatever, just to make the structure a lot stronger. So I'm going to select that and edit again. And I'm going to the spar section and add a spar behind. Again, this is going to be a round spar, and I don't want to see the sheeting because I want to see the spar. And the spar is going to be up to the third rib. Hello guys, so this is Joyville from the future. So I was doing it in the incorrect way there in that video, so I'm going to do it correctly here. And what you have to do to put that joiner between the wings is add a new spar, and it's going to be not a round one, but a round joiner. So a round joiner is specifically for that. And I'm going to put it here until the rib number 2, for example. And then, well, let's put it number 3. And then I'm going to specify, the radius and all of that. So I'm going to put a 5mm diameter, or maybe a little bit more. Let's just put a 6mm diameter. So that's 3 radius. And as you can see there, it does it automatically. So it will adjust, the height in here and there. So it's going to be exactly parallel to the horizon. And that way we don't have to do many steps to figure out how to place it there and everything. It will do it automatically for us, and that's perfect. In the video I was doing it, with the round joiner and doing all sort of things to keep it straight, but this is done automatically. That's perfect. So that's why, so that's how you do it. So let's click OK and you'll see that's our wing joiner right there. So that's perfect. Okay, let's go now to create the outer panels of the wing. So for that, we're going to add a new one here. Yes, and then there are several options here. You can go in detail, but I'll just select the default one. And here it is. For this one, I don't need this kind of bar here, so I'm gonna delete it. I can put something else there, you know, some kind of different spar or something to join the two wings together. But for now, I'm gonna leave it like that. And then this wing is going to be a lot smaller, this panel, because this is the outer panel, so I want to make it smaller. And it's going to be about 200 millimeters. And it's going to have what? It's going to have only 60 millimeters, maybe 80 millimeters. And the root core should be the same to match this wing, maybe 100 millimeters, and that should be it. And then go here and then put 4, maybe 5, and then click proceed. And we have our half wing there. So that's basically it for this part. So if I click OK, you will see the whole wing ready here. And this is a very basic wing for a trainer glider or something like that. This reminds me of so many gliders that I have flown, and similar to the Riser 100 actually as well. So let's export this, right? For that, we're going to go to the DXF. It's very simple. Just select here where you want to save it. I'm going to save it in the desktop. Then you can, you know, draw the original rib silhouette. So this is going to be the airfoil. If you click that, it will draw, you know, the airfoil, and on top of that, the cuts that will be made. So if you want to use that, just click it. Sometimes it's useful, but it doesn't matter. So I'm gonna click it, and you'll see. And then that's okay. So it will save that file. But you can also export it as a, you know, a PDF. So export PDF, and then you can select the kind of thing that you want to, the kind of format that you want to export to. So I'm going to choose A0, a big export, and it's going to be as a PDF. I'm going to click OK, and you will see in a second what will happen. So it exported all the ribs that you have to cut if you want to, you know, print out the ribs and do it by hand. It will print several pages with that. It will show you the information about the dihedral. So from the panel 1 to panel 2 or whatever, the degrees, the distance or the size of each panel, the height of each panel with the dihedral taken into consideration, and so on. It's really good information. And then we have here the panels. Actually, A0 was too big for this. So you can build on top of it and start building right away. That's cool. But we're going to use the DXF. And you can also export as a SCAD file, which is a file that you have to also convert using an open source software to be able to export OBJ or, you know, object files for 3D software. And it's really interesting because you can do cool renderings, or you can use the actual 3D model of your wing, or, you know, the design for a 3D software, whatever you want to do, something more complicated. But we're not going to do that in this video. I'm just gonna show you the DXF file, which is the drawing file. So here we have it. This is the Wing 2. So I'm going to open NanoCAD again, and this time I'm going to import that file into NanoCAD. And remember, this is the free software for CAD design, and you can also use AutoCAD or whatever other CAD software for this kind of drawings. But in this case, I prefer NanoCAD because it's very similar to AutoCAD, you know, in terms of the layout and the commands and everything. So let's see what we have here. So this is the DXF file with the, you know, all the drawings. So we have the the wing panels, view from the top. The dihedral angles are not considered in this wing panel. So in this view, we see the actual length of each panel because the dihedral is not considered. So you have to, this is perfect because we can build on top of it. We can print these plans and everything and build on top of it. And here's where I was telling you about the, you know, the profile drawing. So you can delete this if you don't need it, and you have here the profile that will be cut from the machine. So these are the wing ribs that we're going to be cutting, whether you're using a laser cutter, CNC machine of any kind, or you're cutting it by hand. You can do whatever modification you want. For instance, I can draw a different kind of lightning holes. So I can do this, that, whatever you want, and then, you know, trim the excess. So right there I have a different kind of airfoil that I'll be cutting. So yeah, it's unlimited possibilities with the CAD software. And this is cool because you already have the most difficult part, which are the wing ribs and everything, all the elements that you need to cut, design in this drawing. So you have this is the webbing that you have to cut as well, so that, you know, in the perfect size. You have all the information here, and then the rest, you know, the outer panel of the wing and everything else. The only thing I don't see here is that you see, you know, the identification of each rib, but you don't see that identification here. Should be detailed here. So, but we know that this is the first one, so this is the first one, then the second one, third, fourth, and so on. So they are in order, so there's no need to do that. Same thing here, and well, this is very square, so it has the measurements, but it's very simple to understand. And this, the spar, new spar, I think this one is the one in the middle, so you don't have to cut this. This is the actual round metal tubing that goes inside. So after that, you can, you know, move around things and, you know, cut them or whatever. So I can make a copy of this or move it or whatever, you know, and maybe, for example, for my laser cutter, what I did is measure the size of the wood that I will cut, and then, you know, did a rectangular shape the same size, so I know my limits, the limits I have to put the pieces in, and then, you know, copy and paste all the pieces that will go there. Of course, we're not going to cut this. We're not going to cut this either. Sorry, this should be cut actually like this. Now I'm recording this later that I realized this, but I think I didn't select this option here for the leading edge, and that's why in the drawing it wasn't cutting out the rib, that section that was supposed to be cut out, and that's why. So just make sure that you're using this trimming tool again. Use that and cut this part and this part here. So that's the way this profile should be cut, like that. And the rest, well, you do the same with all of them. And of course we need to cut 2 of each because we need 1 for each wing. So we put that like that and then copy it and maybe rotate it to save some space and take advantage of every inch of material you have there, or every millimeter of material, and you don't waste too much material. Something like that. So that's first rib for both wings and so on. So you start putting everything in there and, you know, ready to be cut, and then save this or maybe copy this and create a new one, a new document, and in here you will place the file that you will send to your CNC software for laser cutting or CNCing these pieces. So finally, if you want to print your plans with all of this information, all of these drawings, what I usually do is, you know, I go to a layout and I go here and right click and page setup. Then I just edit it and I just select here Adobe PDF because, you know, well, if you have a printer or whatever, you can select that, but I select PDF because I have more options here, and I select, you know, A1, and then the scale should be 1 to 1, 1 to 1, remember. And also we have forgotten something really important. We have to change the units. So I'm going to type in units. And when you type in units, you see here it says undefined. Make sure you're selecting the ones that you're working on. In my case, millimeters. I'm going to click OK, and now everything is in millimeters. And now in the layout, I'm going to change this layout. So I'm going to right click, page setup, and edit. And then 1 to 1, but it's millimeters. 1 to 1 again here. Perfect. And I have selected A1 because it's a big sheet of paper. Click OK, close. And now I can, this is the way I do it. It doesn't have to be the way you should do it, but it works for me. So I copy one of the wing panels or one of the wings, paste it in here, and then the other one, and the same thing. And the same with all of the other wing ribs and everything that you want to represent in your plans. You draw your plan here, and because I know that I don't have to go over this working area, I know everything will be printed perfectly. So what I do then is go to plot, and here you select what format you want. Remember and keep an eye on this, scale 1 to 1, to have everything in the correct size. And maybe you should also draw a line here of, you know, that measures 5 millimeters or whatever. So that way you know that the scale is right. You can have that as a reference. So if I put here 5, and then another 5 millimeters from here, that way, whenever this plan is printed, if I take a ruler and I measure from here to here 5, or if you have any other reference that you know the measurement of and it's correct, then the plan is in the right scale. So then I go to plot and export the whole thing as a PDF, and then I order my prints, and that's it. And there we have it. It's the other way around for some reason, but I don't know why. So I'm just gonna click here 180 degrees, and that's it. That's my plan, A1, so I can order a print of my wing. And that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.